The time is 8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by Tilani Pires. The headlines. The President issues orders to further curtail government expenditure. The Malvat and Asgiriya chapters are to issue a joint statement regarding the constitution amendments shortly. The US ambassador assures the IMF to Sri Lanka is likely to speed up with the cooperation of all countries. The UNP chairman says the international community has recognized President Wickremesinghe as a capable leader. And on international news, 100 confirmed dead in marathon search of rebel mosque blast in Pakistan. President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the government revenue at present is far below the monthly expenditure for the month of January 2023. The President noted that the General Treasury finds it challenging to meet all expenditure at this moment. The President said the government is in the capacity of paying salaries, pensions, welfare, pharmaceuticals and debt servicing. President Wickremesinghe stressed that the government expenditure has to be curtailed further. He also noted that the General Treasury will formulate a priority criterion for this purpose. Until then, providing relief for the public will be curtailed. Furthermore, the President pointed out that public officers should refrain from obtaining goods services on credit basis, and any officer who violates this will be held personally responsible, the President added. The Registrar of the Malvatta chapter, Venerable Madagama Dhammananda Thera, says a joint statement regarding the constitutional amendments will be issued shortly. The Thera said discussions over the issue are now underway between the chief prelates of Malvatta and Asgiriya and several other Nayaka Theras in both chapters in this regard. The Thera added both chapters will come to a consensus after a deep study. The Thera made these remarks at a meeting with some representatives of the Patriotic National Movement when they called upon the chief prelates, the Asgiriya Mahaviharaya, this morning. The US ambassador to Sri Lanka, Chuli Chang, assures that assistance due from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, to Sri Lanka is likely to speed up with the cooperation of all countries. The US diplomat made this assurance while at a meeting with State Minister of Finance, Shehan Singh, this morning. The US ambassador stated that foreign countries are now in the process of further confirming their credibility regarding the Sri Lankan government's debt restructuring program. The ambassador Chang also noted that the unity shown by working together as a country must be appreciated. Thus, the diplomat assured that Sri Lanka will obtain favourable decisions from the international creditors. The US ambassador also reassured the US government too will continue to give their fullest support to achieve a more stable economy soon. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The chairman of the UNP parliamentarian Vajra Abeyewardena says the international community has recognized President Wickremesinghe as the leader who would find the suitable solution for the economic crisis today. He made this remark at a meeting held at the party head office this morning. The National People's Power NPP states that the country is moving towards a political transformation drastically. The NPP says that the party is having a proper agenda to face and settle the current economic crisis. The executive committee member of the party, Vasantha Samarasinghe, made these remarks at an election rally held in Galen Bindunuwawa this evening. He also said the responsibility of the government is to hold local government elections exercising democratic rights. Meanwhile, the former president, Maithripala Sirisena, stated today that he would contest the next presidential election with the support of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. He made this announcement while addressing a media briefing at the SLFP headquarters. That ends the local news now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The US ambassador to Sri Lanka, Julie Chang, assures that assistance due from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, to Sri Lanka is likely to speed up with the cooperation of all countries. The US diplomat made this assurance at a meeting with State Minister of Finance, Shehan Singh, this morning. The US ambassador stated that foreign countries are now in the process of further confirming their credibility regarding the Sri Lankan government's debt restructuring program. The ambassador Chang also noted that the unity shown by working together as a country must be appreciated. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhaleba.
And on Watch Light tonight, the health authorities warn that there is a rise in the number of children contracting fever, cold, cough and pneumonia these days. Consultant pediatrician Dr. Deepal Pereira at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital for Children says there is also a rise in the number of children with breathing difficulties. He said during the vacation, children are now exposed to the environment, adding that their immunity against viral flu is not well developed as they have not been exposed to it for about 2 years. That came to you in Watchlight. Coming up, World News. World News headlines first. The Red Cross warns strong preparedness for natural disasters severely lacking. 100 confirmed deaths in marathon search of rubble mosque blast in Pakistan. Almost 650 people charged for dangerous domestic violence in Australia. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, the IFRC, say future health crises could also collide with increasingly likely climate-related disasters. The IFRC said despite 3 brutal years of the COVID-19 pandemic, strong preparedness systems are severely lacking. The world's largest humanitarian network, the IFRC said building trust, equity and local action networks were vital to get ready for the next crisis. Jajan Shaban, Secretary General of IFRC, said the next pandemic could be just around the corner. The death toll has risen to 100 people after a mosque suicide bombing which targeted policemen in the city of Peshawar in Pakistan. The mosque is within a high-security zone and an investigation is underway into how the bomber got in. The attack, one of Pakistan's bloodiest in years, has left scores more injured. A Pakistani Taliban claim to have carried out the bombing was later denied by the military group, which blamed it on a splinter faction. Almost 650 people have been charged in a 4-day police blitz targeting dangerous domestic violence offenders in Australia, police say. Some 1,153 charges for domestic violence, drugs and weapons were laid during the operation in New South Wales last week. Police also seized an array of illegal items such as guns, sword and drugs. Australia has a huge domestic violence problem and police spend more time responding to the crime than any other. Of the 648 people charged during Operation Amarok last week, 164 were among the state's most wanted domestic violence offenders. Back to the world news headlines. The Red Cross warns strong preparedness for natural disasters severely lacking. 100 confirmed dead in marathon search of rubble mosque blast in Pakistan. Almost 650 people charged for dangerous domestic violence in Australia. That ends World News.
Development News.
More than 100 acres of civilian land are under military occupation for more than 3 decades in Jaffna will be released early next month. Additional District Secretary Lands S. Mulidiran says steps have been taken in after President Ranil Wickremesinghe's instructions to officials and military commanders during a recent visit to Jaffna. He said stakeholders were identifying the lands that were earmarked for release in Tellipalli and Vasivelan. He said security forces still occupied 3,341 acres of land in Jaffna despite protests from residents who demand the immediate release of lands for resettlement and livelihood purposes. That came to you in Development News.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
And on sports news, Dane van Niekerk has been left out of South Africa's squad for February's Women's T20 World Cup after failing to meet the minimum criteria for fitness. Cricket South Africa said all-rounder Van Niekerk did not achieve the required time for a 2-kilometre run. Van Niekerk, who has been recovering from a broken ankle, last played international cricket in September 2021. Sonny Lewis will captain the side in Van Niekerk's absence. Van Niekerk posted a message on social media to say that she was absolutely broken. Van Niekerk was dropped from the squad for the recent tri-series against West Indies and India, but she was given another opportunity to provide her fitness before the World Cup, which starts in South Africa on 10th February. That ends Sports News.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න
The all new NSB Ithru account NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Commercial Bank of Ceylon has announced that it has opened an Indian rupee-denominated Nostro account at the 116-year-old Indian Bank, Mumbai. It was introduced to facilitate trade sanctions between Sri Lanka and India. It was introduced to facilitate trade transactions between Sri Lanka and India, and the bank said this decision follows the Central Bank of Sri Lanka classifying the Indian rupee as a designated foreign currency to promote trade and tourism in the SAARC region. The bank said it will support both Sri Lankan and Indian importers and exporters to carry out trade transactions in Indian rupees in a manner that is beneficial to both parties. That was Business News.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න
The all new NSB Ithru account NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Economic news, courtesy of... For the 5th consecutive year, LOLC is awarded People's Financial Services Brand of the Year at the 2022 Slim Kantar People's Awards. As the People's Financial Services Brand of the Year, LOLC continues to place the customer first. And this has won the hearts, minds and trust of Sri Lankans, with yet another prestigious award as proof of this lasting commitment. LOLC. Imagine the possibilities.
And on economic news, the wholesale prices of vegetables, fruits and many essential food items in the Dambulla Economic Centre, DEC, had gone down by big margins. The traders say that the wholesale price of a kilo of cabbage has dropped to 25 to 30 rupees at the Dambulla Economic Centre yesterday, while the price of all other vegetables has also dropped by about 75%. The traders say that the wholesale price of a kilo of eggplant is 100 rupees and that the prices of leeks and carrots, which were sold at 350 rupees, were sold at a price between 90 rupees and 150 rupees. The wholesale price of a kilo of imported big onions is 120 rupees. That came to you in economic news.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LOLC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
Weather report.
The Meteorology Department forecasts a depression over the southeast and adjoining southwest Bay of Bengal lay centered at morning hours today. It is likely to normalize gradually west-southwest westwards and cross Sri Lanka. Cloudy skies will prevail over most parts of the island and showers or thunder showers will occur at times. Very heavy showers above 150 millimeters are likely at some places in the northern, north-central, northwestern and eastern provinces. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places elsewhere. That was the weather report. And now to end this news broadcast, the main points once again. The President issues orders to further curtail government expenditure. The Malvat and Asgiri chapters are to issue a joint statement regarding the constitutional amendments shortly. The US ambassador assures the IMF to Sri Lanka is likely to speed up with the cooperation of all countries. The UNP chairman says the international community has recognized President Wickremesinghe as a capable leader. And on international news, 100 confirmed dead in marathon search of rubble mosque blast in Pakistan. That ends this news broadcast.